I have the best physique I've ever had right now, yet still when I look in the mirror, I get upset.
Over the last few weeks, this has been the worst sleep of my entire life.
Life literally does just end up becoming you fighting against your bodies.
And I don't wish that for any of you guys.
I'd always look up to the fitness gods. Vask, lean, diced, single-digit body fat. And I'd always tell myself that's where life gets good. So before we begin, let me ask you a question. Are you chasing a shredded body thinking it will make your life great? Well, I'm here to inform you today that that is actually a lie. I've seen the same thing over and over through coaching and training with hundreds of people, and I fell into the trap too. I just want to be shredded. If this is you, I need to share with you the hidden traps of getting to single-digit body fat. So today, I'm exposing the 5 brutal truths of getting shredded that every influencer has buried, so you can avoid destroying your mind, your body. You might just even save 10 years of suffering, or even your life. This is the dark side of being shredded. Let's get into it. So I've got around 3 points to go through, which is going to explain why you don't actually want to be shredded. And at the end, I'll tell you what you actually do want to start aiming for. So I got into the fitness industry way back in like sort of early 2010s. You had the guys like Nick Walker, Ziz, Steve Cook, who else? Dorian, you know, all these kind of guys. Very much in the early like YouTube era. I didn't start training at this time, but I was really starting to sort of follow these guys and get inspiration to think, fucking hell, one day I want to be like these guys. Now, I started training like properly in around 2014, which is like when I started going to like a little small garage gym, me and my friend. And by this time, there was a new era sort of coming through in the fitness industry. Now, these guys like the Scott Hermans and Nick Wrights and everything, they were still relevant, but there was a new flock coming in. And this was through the like Gymshark, you know, first when Gymshark first came on the scene, and sort of the first Instagram era. So this was more so people like David Lade, Jeff Side, Simeon Panda, you know, all these sort of fake natty gurus, fucking Micro Tren, all these guys. And I think it was at this point that I suddenly had the switch in my head that I need to start getting actually fucking shredded rather than just sort of looking nice. And there was definitely a big switch over from the pre-Instagram era to when Instagram actually came, you know, in the fitness scene, and people started posting all these unreal sort of flexing shots. And looking back now, it's clear that all these guys were not healthy at all. I had a few people come to mind when editing this video, but the one that stood out the most was Scott Murray. So Scott Murray was an Irish YouTuber, and he was very much into getting shredded and living as lean as possible. Now, he actually passed away a few years ago, which really hit me, as I followed him quite a lot around this time. So I'm going to play a little clip now to show you Scott and what he went through.
This is YouTuber Scott Murray when he was at the peak of his fitness. As you can see, he had extremely low body fat and extremely advanced muscular development. Scott passed away at the age of 27 from heart failure. When you lose all your body fat, you begin losing tissue from your organs, your bones, your brain, and your muscles. The heart is a muscle, so it is possible that his extreme program weakened his heart, and it could also, the trouble could have also been triggered from excessive use of pre-workout and caffeine, and we don't know what else he was on, but stimulants certainly are not good for a weakened heart. These stills were taken from his last video on YouTube before his tragic passing away at the age of 27.
For the most part, a lot of these guys were permanently putting themselves, you know, in a depleted state when their body's not meant to be there. But as a young, naive kid, and you're watching these guys come through on Instagram, YouTube videos and stuff, and they're all just shredded year round. But it's not, you know, like the TikTok era now where they're just like the lean fucking e-boy abs and ironing board up top. They were very much built and shredded at the same time. And especially if you think of someone like Simeon Panda, the way that he would walk around with that much muscle mass and be shredded, like by anyone's standards, he's, you know, probably a few weeks out, maybe a month max of competing at all times whilst carrying ridiculous muscle mass, pressing, you know, like 70, 75 kg dumbbells, get you shredded. And this fucking bogged my mind for a long time because I believed it was obviously possible for anyone to do. And I got stuck in this sort of purgatory phase for a long time of knowing that I had to be in a calorie surplus to build muscle, but then thinking I'm just looking further and further away from these guys who look unreal. And that's the purpose of this video today, to show you why you don't actually want to be shredded, even though you think you do. Okay, so the first point is the body dysmorphia. I've personally never gone much further below 10%. That's sort of, you know, like where I was when I first started. I was about 120 pounds, weighed fuck all. And literally, you know, you could throw me about. I probably started around 10%. And I slowly, because I was drinking at the same time, I slowly started creeping up the body weight. I wasn't actually any good with the diet. You know, I thought I was tracking, and I'd put, you know, like a Subway sandwich in as like 1,200 calories and shit. So the only reason I probably put on body fat was because I was drinking a lot at the same time. Now, I've only touched that body fat probably once since then. I got to around 10% one summer when I didn't have too much muscle still. And then recently I did a cut where I did get quite shredded. Now, a lot of that was sort of water weight and stuff. So when I say like 10, 11% or lower, it can also mean that you just look like you're that kind of weight. Because if you can get to the point where you can see all your abs, you can see veins, you can see all your muscles popping and everything, it sounds cool. But a lot of the time you've had to do some, you know, pretty shitty things to get there. Now, what you tend to do once you start getting lower and lower is you start to think you're not shredded enough. And especially once you start going below, I'd say below 12%, you put yourself in the bracket with all the Instagram gurus. You don't know their life and you don't know their genetics. Yet you have this idea that you're going to get there yourself. And if they're able to do it and walk around like it, then you should do it as well. Now, everyone who lives for the Instagram, obviously they put the highlights of their life. That's what Instagram is, yeah. No one's going to tell you they feel fucking awful. No one wants to look like they're doing all this just for validation of people and to put photos so they can, you know, keep a sponsorship and plug the my protein codes. So I think the biggest thing that I realized is the body dysmorphia you get from being shredded, especially in the comparisons to other people, starts to really get to you. And you just never end up being, you know, shredded enough. And the problem is that the more shredded you get, the smaller you look. So up to a point, as you get leaner and leaner, you do start to look really good. And I would say, again, around that 10% and above, you'll always look pretty fucking sick, especially if you've not got too much muscle. But there is a point probably below 10% where you just start to look really small, and your whole, it's not just your physique, just everything looks depleted and malnourished. So you start to get this body dysmorphia of where you think you need, because you don't look good, you think you need to get even more shredded. And you're thinking, why is my muscles not popping? Why don't I look sick? Why don't I look like these Insta gurus? Well, if they've got some sort of way to look like their muscles are popping all the time, so it could be their lighting, it could be, you know, secret sauce, it could be just they've got better genetics than you, they're always going to look better than what you're seeing in the mirror. And it's not the shreddedness that's going to make you look good. It's the muscle and having plenty of sort of glycogen, i.e. like the carb stores and the water stores in the muscle to have it. Like you want to think like a fucking, like back in the day, a king was a big fat man. You know, like the more fat you had, it was a show of resources. Whereas if you think of like a guy who's not eaten barely anything for the last 3 months and he's literally stick and bones. He's not going to sort of symbolize power or authority or anything like that. It's actually going to make you think, oh, this guy's like lacking in resources, just from like a primal standpoint. Now, this is what people are doing, where they're trying to get so shredded that you can literally see all the rib cage, all the fucking skull in the head. It's not the look that you think you want. And despite you see the guys on Insta who are sort of getting this kind of lean, their body dysmorphia won't let them get fat again. They won't get to that point to be actually able to build some new muscle. And the muscle is the only thing that lasts on your body. Once you've got the muscle and then you come down and cut again, you will look so much better than just being in this shredded state year round for years and years and never actually transforming your physique. This is the trap where people get stuck on, keeping up the instant appearances and trying to look good. But the reason they don't is because they can't bear themselves anymore to have like just a little bit of timber on here. So the next point is that you just literally feel fucking shit. On a health standpoint, you've got things like your testosterone, the rest of your hormones, your metabolism, as in your thyroid, and some other processes that really just rely on you not being in a shredded state. And obviously these things, when you feel shit, it's a sign that something's not right. Now, the problem is a lot of these guys will just get down to sort of shredded territory by starving themselves, but they don't actually want to see what's happening under the hood. So they will never get some blood work or, go to a doctor or speak with some sort of health professional just to make sure that everything's ticking over. You will see this reflect. So you literally feel really bad. So you will get things like insomnia where you can't sleep properly. Your energy will be basically depleted. When your testosterone's down, you won't feel yourself. You won't feel any sort of, energy or masculine aggression or motivation to do anything. And you've just got no desire for anything. So your libido might be down. You might have a girlfriend where she's basically saying, what's going on with us? And you're just like, I just don't care. Or you could have had ambition to sort of find a girlfriend and you just literally got like no desire or no sex drive at all. And these things aren't talked about when you get shredded. People think it just looks nice. The more shredded you are, the better you look, the better you feel, and the better your life is. Whereas it's completely the opposite. This goes on to another point as well, where you can't enjoy yourself. So, if you're in a relationship or if you see your friends often, you want to be able to spend time with them. And a lot of things obviously revolve around food. Now, a guy who stays shredded year round or, for a long time, they're fucking walking around with these meal preps. I've seen this fucking rucksack where you can put like 5 or 6 fucking meal prep containers in your rucksack. Like the whole bag is designed as like a meal prep bro, rucksack to take with you. Like, fuck me, what kind of life is that where you're literally living out of a glass container? If you're in a relationship, your girlfriend's going to want to go to a pasta restaurant. It's going to be a birthday. It's going to be your anniversary. You shouldn't be in a place where you say, oh, I have to stick to my diet. Now, if you're on a strict cut for a certain amount of time, that's completely fine. Lock in for your goals. Don't let anything sort of distract you. But you can't live your life like that forever. Like, what kind of life is being shredded where you can't even enjoy it? Your boys want to go to Nando's and you're like, maybe I can just get the half chicken and not have anything. Like, you just look like a weirdo, man. There gets to a point where you say, what am I actually doing this for? Especially when it's not just that. For me, it's the feeling shit all the time. Like I said, there is a point where you start to feel unreal to a point, which is what I put in like the lean category. But then like shredded would be underneath. I'm talking, but always below 10%, single digit body fat. These are the levels where it's just not worth it. You don't get any more sort of praise or anything that you would do at the 10%. And you look worse as well. You think people will actually like you more being shredded. But the only fucking people that like you being shredded is on your Instagram comments. That's it. So you're living your life for all these anons who say, yeah, 6 shreds, bro, or bro just got fucking leaner than ever. People in real life, they don't actually care. Like, no fucking human, sane person cares about if you're like unreal shredded, apart from like other freaks. I'm not saying like gym people. I'm saying, you know, like other people who are obsessed with this as well. And yeah, you could say, oh, no one else gets it. But if no one else gets it, then like you're just living in this little fantasy world on your own. There's no point in not being able to enjoy yourself with the people you're closest to, just to be fucking like ultra shredded. I think another point is, if you are trying to do this for more attention, more, you know, especially from girls and stuff, a lot of them just don't care. Like they say, I've heard this so many times, it's too much. When girls say it's too much, they don't mean that the muscle's too much. They just mean it's too lean. It's like they don't like shreds to the bone. They don't like veins. I'll put up a picture now of Chris Bumstead. He put this photo up and just said dad bod. Now this guy's got, I don't know, 220 pounds of fucking muscle. He's probably one of the biggest people in the world. Yeah, I guarantee nearly every woman would say, yeah, that's my ideal body. Not ideal body, but they'd say, yeah, that's not too much. All he had to do was lose about 30 pounds, 20, 30 pounds, give or take, get on stage where you could see all his abs, see like the full six pack and all the striations in the legs. And women say, oh, no, that's way too much. I hate steroid physique. It's not about the muscle. It's about the shreds, and it's about getting to that sort of freak leanness. But you have no idea how they feel. Like I said, they could have low testosterone year round. Their bodies just got used to them being so low that their testes aren't making anything now. And even when they do think, oh, well, fuck, I best start, you know, getting this up, they can't. Like, their bodies just shut down. Their systems have given up. I'm not saying it, like, completely shuts down, but what they could have been, say, like, hypothetically, a 700 nanogram per deciliter, they're now not able to get above 500. And, you know, they're sort of doing everything right, and they can't tip like 460s. When you're 50, you're not going to give a fuck about how shredded you were at 23, 25, when, you know, you were going to fucking Ibiza and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure it'd be nice to look back and think, oh, I was so shredded. You're not going to give a fuck about how shredded you were, that you were 10%, 9% instead of like a healthier 12. And like I said, it's just not worth any of the symptoms, any of the trade-offs. Like, I'll repeat again, no testosterone, low energy, low libido, feeling awful, can't get up in the morning, can't even get to sleep, insomnia. You've got nutrient deficiencies, which is another point in its own. When your body's so low down on the nutrient intake, you've just got deficiencies all over. You could be suffering from getting super low potassium because you're not eating like any potassium rich foods, and you can't just like plug these all with supplements forever. To a point, supplements are great, and you know, like if you've got your standard diet and there's reasons that you can't eat something, then yeah, the supplements will help you. And if you're getting shredded just for a one-off or for a short period of time, then you should use the supplements to plug the gaps. But they're never like a life replacement. Like, food is the only anabolic source. It's the only life source. You can't live off supplements. You will eventually fucking fade out trying to do this. And when you're down at fucking poverty, 1600s, I've even seen people like fucking grown men down at 1200 calories. 1200 calories, man. I won't give that to my fucking wife. I won't give that to my dog, to be honest. There's no reason that you need to be suffering like that just to look shredded. And the trade-off is ruining your body inside just to look sick on the outside. Whereas no one actually even thinks you look sick. They think you're just like a gym-obsessed person. Like I said, women just think it's too much and you need to get a life. But the funny thing is, you're literally just 2 or 3% below their ideal body. So you can see what you actually get from being shredded just isn't worth it. And the last point, which I've already touched on, is you just look small. You've already done the cut. You've already got down to a decent body weight. You already look good. But going lower and lower, you just start to look smaller. So if you think about when you see a guy post an Insta picture, he's there in a gym or, you know, like on a beach, top off and everything, and he's got a pump. How often in your life is that actually going to be a reality for you? If you've got a job, if you've got school, if you've got normal work commitments, you're going to be in normal clothing 99% of the time. And that's the only thing that people are going to see. So I could have like an unreal six-pack here right now and be shredded. You wouldn't even see it. But what you would see is, say, a shoulder that's not filling the sleeve. You can see I'm probably at about 14-ish% right now. Now, I'm going to make another video on this. It will be called something like the sweet spot body fat, or, like the magic body fat range. And this is where everything just feels good. You look good no matter what. You feel like you've always got energy in the gym. You can still progress your lifts. And there's just no reason really to go below or above unless you're doing, like I said, a bulk up, where, like I have now, where you've come out of this temporarily and then you drop back in. And then if you do want to peak for a summer show, you just drop down from that a couple of points for a little bit and then sort of bounce back in. So am I shitting on getting shredded ever? Should you just never bother getting shredded at all? I actually think you should get shredded maybe once or twice in your life. So the first reason is I think every man should just experience what it's like to go through that kind of cut. So when you're getting down into the pits and you're learning about yourself, you're putting your body through a lot of stress and you're just learning, have I got the minerals to get down here and, keep suffering and stuff. I think on a more mental side, it's a very sort of enlightening thing to do, especially like the younger you can do this, the better, because it will teach you suffering. And when it comes to your actual next cuts, it's comparatively not even half as bad. The second reason is that if you're new in your lifting career, as in like you haven't built a sizable physique yet, you want to start as low, reasonably low as possible. So somewhere around 10% is an ideal starting spot to do a nice steady bulk where you can add half a pound each week and just slowly go up from there. Now, if you've already passed this newbie phase, if you've already built a decent physique and you're just wanting to basically become you, but, like 2 or 3 sizes bigger, then you've literally got zero reason at all to even bother getting that lean. Like the bottleneck between you now, where you're at and where you want to get to, is muscle. It's not shreds. So why would you prevent yourself building muscle to lock in this physique now that you're not happy with? And again, you don't actually look better when you end up shredded. You look worse and you feel worse. Just everything's not the one. I think you can also reset your body fat set point. So what you did usually sit at maybe like a 16-18%. I think, going lean once or twice, it can bring your body fat set point down to maybe, like a sub 15. If you've done a cut before and you're still looking shit, and each time you bulk and cut, you're still looking the same, then just stop worrying about being so shredded all the time and just focus on like a nice steady bulk and just stay, like sort of top out at that 16% or something, drop a few percent back and then go again. And if you can do this, then you will never have to be shredded because you will look unreal at the 13, 14, 15, even 16%. You can look really good. Like again, the picture of Sebum just looks unreal. He doesn't look too much like a lot of women would say, but he's got more muscle than basically any guy on earth. And then again, you need to get your fucking health in order. Being shredded is like the opposite of health. So all the things are listed with your hormones, how your body's working, how you feel, that you can't sleep and stuff. You're never going to have to suffer through that. And you're going to actually be more healthy by having a little bit more body fat than you would be like you see guys on Insta. So just stop trying to be so fucking shredded and your life will drastically improve. Bye.